Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program we have Robert Ellis. I had a chance to talk to Robert about so much, and this is one of those chats that was just really easy to get into. 25 minutes in, I still hadn't even looked at any notes or anything. We were just chatting, and kind of letting the conversation flow where it went, which was really awesome. He had a great story. Also, unique opportunity to have a bar that he runs attached to his studio, which is, that's really cool, right? Like, who doesn't want that? So, really good stuff with Robert Ellis. Really excited to bring him in here in just a few minutes. And before we get into that, I'll catch everybody up on what's going on in my world. That is this in a couple of days. I'm getting a short little getaway vacation with my kids and my buddy Joe and his wife and son. We are going down south to Super Nintendo World, but not before we see the Mario movie, which is coming out on Wednesday. So they're going to come to see that in my neck of the woods. We're taking the kids to see it, and that'll be kind of the start to our little excursion. We're going to have like 5 days together, which is either really going to be really fun, or we're going to get on each other's nerves. But more importantly, someone will be getting sick most likely because their family is currently sick. Their son has been out of school for a week already, and they've been struggling, which is a real bummer because I feel for them. It's been rough. It's been a rough week, and they're trying to pull out in the next couple of days. When they get hit hard, and I don't have that immune system. I just never really am down for the count in that sort of capacity, right? The closest I came was having COVID. It hit me, but then less than 48 hours later, I was done and better. I didn't miss work. I also continued to Peloton like a crazy madman. Even through that time, I took it easy on the Peloton. I took it easy at work a little bit for 2 days. But outside of that, I don't get sick very often. So who knows if that'll change with everybody coughing and phlegming up in the van on the way down. We're taking one van down south, and we're going to use my kid's mom's van, which is very generous of her to share that and lend it to us, so that we can all fit in one vehicle and enjoy vacation together. We had a hotel, but we canceled it today in lieu of just getting an Airbnb where we can have some more space. Each have our own beds, which is nice. So we were gonna put our two sons in the same sleeping area together, and so it was gonna be tight quarters between two conjoining hotel rooms. But they asked to make it an Airbnb, so we don't have to eat out every meal too. We can do a little of that, but get some relief from all the garbage food that we're going to be ingesting during that period. So that's kind of long and short of what's going on there. We're going to have 2 days at Universal. We're going to see Super Mario World, as I said. We'll probably go to Harry Potter Land. It has a name too, I'm sure, but we're going to see that. I just finished Harry Potter, the eighth Harry Potter movie, the eighth and last Harry Potter movie with my son yesterday. I never watched all of them, and I was in and out for some of them while my son was watching, so I still can't say I've seen all of them beginning to end, but I've seen most of them, and wow, it's a powerful ending to the series. I'll tell you. I didn't remember that. I'd seen some of them with my kid's mom, but because she was really into that stuff, and again, half interestingly, I don't know, that's not a word, but watch it with her. So I had some context. I never read the books or anything along those lines, but the kids seem to want to do that as well. And another thank you from my kid's mom, because she wants to buy all of the kids wands at the Harry Potter World. So we might be doing that as well. It's going to be a fun trip, I think. A good little getaway. I need it. I need a break. I'm looking forward to it. So that's coming up here in just a couple of days. And So that's what I got going on. Nothing too crazy outside of that. The Century Ride is a month away, just over a month away at this point now. And we've still only had three practices, Joe and I, for gearing up for 100 miles on a bicycle. But it's going to happen one way or another. And um, we'll do it. So hopefully the weekend after we get back from the trip, we'll be getting on the bicycles to do a bigger ride. Some a little over 50 miles is where we should be at now, probably. Get one or two more good rides in before the big ride, and it should be good. So lots of fun stuff. Should be getting out fishing in the next couple of weeks. Also, hopefully, Joe got his boat all together, got a new motor for it, and so we're going to get that out and hopefully catch some halibut. I've never caught a halibut, so that would be a lot of fun. I'm just trying to invest in all the hobbies, do my thing. That's what it's all about, right? So, all right. So, Robert Ellis, like I said, really great interview, really fun chat. He has a new album coming out May 19th called Yesterday's News. He's also going to play a song for the podcast if you stick around late enough in the interview. So let's go ahead and let's bring in Robert Ellis. Go, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Busy man. So
Yeah, thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry I was a bit late.
oh, you're fine. You're good. So yeah. First off, how's your week treating you? Your week off to a good start so far?
Good. It's very busy. So I'm sitting right now in the recording studio, and we have a band in called the Little Smokies. I'm producing a
Yeah,
record.
yeah. I've interviewed them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. I'm producing a record for them right now. So I appreciate you accommodating an early morning interview. But my day usually starts at like 5 a.m. and I take kids to school and send emails. This morning we launched a new track, which
Yes.
I haven't even posted about yet, but
Oh,
usually
I
go
saw the
to
video. Yeah.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
really
Yeah. I saw the video. It's yesterday. It's the subtitled one, right? No,
yeah
yesterday's news already came out.
yeah
Close Your Eyes was
close
the
your
one that
eyes.
came out this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I do some of that email stuff in the morning, and then my work day usually starts around 8. Um, and so I go over to the bar and do some stuff because we have a bar in the same building as the studio. Um, and then everyone's getting here to start recording and making music at 10 a.m. So this was this is like the only time
So
I have in my day.
having a bar in the same building as a studio, does that help you be more productive, or does that cause some challenges sometimes?
I tend to go over there, like as the session is sort of getting to that point in the day where everyone's getting tired and kind of like a little mentally exhausted. We'll pop over and have a beer, and you would be blown away by how much better everyone sounds after one beer. Just like
Yeah.
loosening up a little bit. Usually it comes right in the day where it's like we're just not making a ton of progress, but we all know what we need to do, and it just requires this like letting go and just sort of like taking a deep breath, and then everybody comes back in, and usually that take is the one that we're like, well, that's it.
Yeah, listens up. That's a great recipe. That's good. One beer is good, 5 or
Yeah.
6 maybe a little too much. So
Well, if one's good, 5 or 6 is great.
I know, right? Right. Yeah, that's very cool. So tell me about building your own studio. Like when did that come about? How was that process for you?
Well, this is called Nile City Sound, and my dear friend and business partner Josh Block, he started this studio like 8 years ago, and he's produced a bunch of really incredible records for people like Leon Bridges and Camp, and he also played drums and produced all these records for a band called White Denim. And we met years
Yeah.
ago when he was playing with White Denim, and we just became really good buds. And he played drums on my Chemical Plant record, and we toured together a bunch. I don't know, we just kind of like saw each other at a festival and were like simpatico immediately, like we're gonna be buds. And so we became friends, and then I'd say almost 3 years ago, right at the start of the pandemic, I was just like kind of wanting a change. I was living in Austin and talked to Josh on the phone, and he's like, "Well, man, why don't you come down and partner on this studio thing and like let's produce records together?" And I had already been driving up here. Fort Worth's about 2.5 hours from Austin, so I had already been coming up here pretty often to be on records and to like work with Josh on stuff. And this is where I recorded Texas Piano Man as well, in this studio. So it was just kind of the right time, and we got a house in Fort Worth, and we moved the whole family, and we've been here since.
Yeah. I talked to an artist in Austin last week, and I mentioned something. So I'm kind of curious if you've had the same thing, because one of my fond memories of visiting Austin is this place called Gordo's. Have you been to Gordo's?
Totally, yeah.
Okay. Because to me, I can think of no finer creation than a burger sandwiched by two donuts with guacamole and bacon, and have chips and a beer on the side. And like that's perfection.
It's pretty
It was
fucking.
amazing.
It's pretty fucking extreme. I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
not a daily thing, but
no,
just just.
I mean, I try to limit myself to one cheeseburger a week, just like a straight up cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I feel like that would count like negative 500 points. Like I'd have to be.
You lose a couple of points, but it was definitely enjoyable for sure. So
Well, where do you live?
yeah, I'm out on the West Coast. I'm in the Bay Area.
Oh, awesome. I love it out there. You guys have some
Yeah,
incredible food.
yeah. There's a lot of good options. We do not have breakfast tacos like exist in your neck of the woods, but we have
No,
breakfast burritos
yeah,
and
you guys do burritos, which I don't hate. It's not totally my thing, but every time I'm out there, I really enjoy it, you know?
yeah, yeah.
It's funny
So
'cause if a place here sold breakfast burritos, I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
like, what's that? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What are you doing? We got the breakfast tacos. We know how to do this. Come on.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're out here in 2019 for Hardly Strictly.
I've been out there a few times. I feel like I've been at Hardly Strictly a couple times. Maybe in other years I just played like an after party. Maybe I didn't play I know I played the festival in 19 though. Um,
Yeah.
and I've done some stuff at Slim's on a couple occasions after the festival.
Yes.
And
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it so much. And generally, I stay in this hotel called the Phoenix. Do you know that
Uh-huh.
hotel?
Yeah.
I think it's in the Tenderloin.
It's I think so. I think
Um,
so. But I'm very familiar with Slims, and I miss it dearly. Like, it was the first thing to go when the pandemic hit. Was
it's
like, oh,
gone?
we got to take Slims. Oh, it's
Wow.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Shit. Where do you
It's
play
gone.
now?
And
What's the venue to play at?
oh, I know. The Fillmore is the most amazing venue that's never hopefully going anywhere. I mean, there's shows there, but as far as like venues like Slim's, there's Bottom of the Hill. It's a little bit smaller than Slim's. There's Great American Music Hall. It's about the size of Slim's. So there are other options, but I grew up on Slim's. I mean, I
I
was
love
going to
that
shows there
room.
over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that room was so cool and like so much vibe. I mean, like I played the Fillmore last spring maybe with I was out with this band
Yeah.
Jamestown Revival. I produced a record for them, so I went out and played guitar with them, and I think I opened those shows. And we played the Fillmore, and it's obviously beautiful, but if I'm coming there headlining, Slim's was kind of like the vibe. Um, and
Yeah.
I'm at a little bit of at a loss now. I'm like, what's the place?
Where do I go? Yeah, there are options, and there's bigger areas outside of just San Francisco too. Like, I mean, I'm from Napa, and grew up there and everything, and like, just there's so many places popping up in and around Napa and in the valley that didn't exist before. There's a whole music scene there now, and it's incredible. So
Yeah.
um, so there are other options, but just seeing Slim's Gone is like a piece of me being missing.
Is that how far is Napa? Half an hour? An hour?
It's a little just over an hour from San Francisco. Yeah, yeah, like halfway to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Um, so not too bad. But what do you remember of Hardly Strictly? What was that experience like for you?
I can't remember exactly. I think I played like when you walk in, there's like a stage at Golden Gate Park, like in the main entrance. I think I played on this stage like right as you walk in.
Yeah.
And I remember some good friends of mine were playing. I made a record with this girl, Courtney Hartman, who's just fucking unbelievable, like one of the best guitar players on the planet. And I feel like
Yeah.
he was there that year. And I feel like I remember Richard Thompson playing solo also that year. Um, I love it. I mean, I've been as a spectator to the other one, Outside Lands. Um,
Yeah.
it's also on that park, and like God, it's just maybe the best place to see music. Like a free
That-
festival in Golden Gate Park is just kind of unbelievable to me. Um,
Yeah. I haven't, what's funny is I haven't actually been to an Outside Lands yet, which is crazy because, again, I until last year I lived in Napa and we had Bottle Rock.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
and and I could literally bike to Bottle Rock from where I lived. It was 3 miles away, and I did. I'd go to all 3 days and everything, and it's just like that's so much easier, and I like the lineup better. But this year, I'm gonna hit Outside Lands because Foo Fighters are playing, and
yeah.
big Foo Fighters fan. So
Who's the new drummer?
um,
Didn't I just
that's the question.
yeah.
Yeah, there's rumors. Yeah, but they haven't locked it in on anybody yet. I'm waiting to see who will replace Taylor.
Jeez.
It's yeah.
Well, maybe
We'll
I'll see you out
see.
there. I love that festival. And I just happened. I think I was on tour and like happened to be in town, and I maybe the old 97s were playing, or some friends of mine were playing, and they were like, "We can get you
Mhm.
a pass if you want to come." And I saw some incredible acts. This is years ago, probably like over 10 years ago. But I remember seeing Tune Yards for the first time and being like, "Holy shit, this is so good."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really obviously love like folk Americana music, and I love bluegrass music, and like Hardly Strictly is awesome, but I can get down on some weird shit, and
Yeah.
generally what I listen to, like I go through phases. Like lately, it's just been all jazz. That's just all I want to listen, and classical. I've kind of been on a Mahler kick recently.
Yeah.
So I have a 2011 Dodge Dakota truck. Um,
Okay.
it's just like my daily around town driver. And the person that I bought it from had put these like really funny exhaust pipes on it, so it's super loud. It's like a very fucking redneck truck.
Yeah.
And it's got a tape player and a CD player in it. And I realized
Oh, that's awesome.
yesterday driving to the studio, I'm like blasting Mahler's Third, like just like really intense German classical music in like this
Yeah.
very,
You're like,
very
this does
redneck.
not fit the truck, but yeah, I'm going for it, huh?
But
You're like,
yeah,
this is happening. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And did you get any looks as you were pulling up to stop signs and
no, I mean nobody can hear the music because the exhaust pipes are so loud. So yeah, I
That's
have to turn up the stereo like way louder than it should be so I can hear it over the sound of the pipe.
yeah. 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 Oh, that's so great. That's so great.
It's very
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, well, what did you listen to as a kid? What did your parents like raise you on? I know you picked up the guitar at like fourth grade.
I was really young. My mother was a classical pianist, and she loved jazz too. And so piano was probably my first. I mean, it was my first instrument. I don't remember not playing piano. I was a baby. Um, and she loved like Debussy and Ravel and Satie, like romantic composition. And so I was really into that. I think I learned a Debussy piece when I was like, in elementary school, and just it was one of my mom's favorite pieces. And so I always really liked that. And then probably around fifth or sixth grade, I really started getting into guitar, and she showed me jazz guitar players like Joe Pass and Wes Montgomery, and like I just got obsessed and was like, I want to play jazz guitar so bad,
Yeah.
and got super into that. I'm still into that. Now it's more so pianists that I listen to. I like love Keith Jarrett and Bill Evans, and like I don't know, solo piano records are kind of my favorite thing on the planet right now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, always kind of like jazz, classical, and then pretty early some like my uncle, who's no longer alive, played Dick Joyner. He played dobro and flat picked bluegrass guitar, and we would go every year to this bluegrass festival in Texas, um, from the time I was like really little. And so when I started picking up guitar, I got super into that flat picking and like Doc Watson and just like I think at that age I was just really interested in any genre where people were like exceptional at the instrument, and like
Yeah.
to me, Doc Watson is as good as Wes Montgomery, just in a different shade. Like he's like a master of that style. Um, in the same way that a rock guy or a jazz guy is of theirs, and it's just there's so much to it. Like I don't know, I still listen to all that music, and I'm not like I'm still every day excited and intrigued by hearing a really cool player. You know,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
any genre.
Well, what's cool is so you're raising your kids kind of the same way you were raised with the piano. Like, I mean, you're getting them into the piano and the guitar and everything at very young age. I mean, what's that like for you? Are they grasping onto it? They obviously enjoy it.
Well, I don't push it on them. It was never pushed on me. Like, I can't remember my mom ever being like, you have to learn piano. It's just my advice to, other parents and students and friends is like, just create a situation where music is around them. Because for me as a kid, it was like, I was never forced to do it, but many adults in my life played music and they got a tremendous amount of joy out of it. And I think kids see that, like Buddy comes up to the studio while we're doing this little Smokies record. Buddy was in here last night till like 10 o'clock, and he just was sitting in the control room listening and watching. And like I just think that when you see a bunch of grown-ups really enjoying themselves and having fun playing music, you're like, I want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And it just creates like this, I don't know, it's just showing them sort of the beauty of music instead of being like, you have to learn your scales and then you'll appreciate it. Like,
The discipline, make it fun for them, right? Yeah.
yeah. And I think that discipline, at least for me, like if you get the bug and you really want to play, you just realize that that's a necessary part of playing. Like, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you want to do it. Like I love sitting down with a metronome and just like digging into some new shit. It's like really fun, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that the desire has to come first. Like you have to want to play music, and then you realize like, okay, X has to happen for me to be this good. You know.
Yeah. And did you have like high school bands that you were part of too?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I listen to all this stuff still, but like I said, I kind of listen to everything. At some point in high school, there was like this really big indie sort of rock scene. Like Polyvinyl Records was putting out really cool stuff. I like loved this band, American Football.
Hmm.
Just thought the guitar playing was super cool, and like I don't know, sort of indie emo rock from our generation. Are you? I'm 35.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Yeah. I'm hitting 40 in like two
Okay.
months. So yeah.
You remember that whole scene of like I don't know all that stuff, and then like
Oh,
punk, sort of stuff that was punk leaning, but still like a little '90s emo vibe.
oh, that was like my jam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The
Yeah.
Get Up. Did you like the Get Up Kids?
I didn't get too much into them, but Warp Tour music,
Oh yeah.
that like those are the bands I was all a part of. I mean, so like Something Corporate was one of my favorite bands, and
Cool.
and actually we had Andrew McMahon on last week and this week actually is Andrew McMahon for my 400th episode. I know him, I mean I've known him over the
Cool.
years, I mean so that was really cool.
That's so
Um,
badass.
Oh yeah, no, he's great. He's amazing, and he has this new album that's coming out on Friday, and it's Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. I don't know if you check them out, but
Oh,
I mean, I follow his music. He's my favorite musician. So I mean, this is
cool.
Everything in Transit. My favorite of his album, and he's a piano rock dude, right? So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but all of those sort of bands. I mean, Slims. I'd be at shows there all the time with
Yeah.
listening to bands like that.
I
So
I loved that scene, and I think I was excited to like do anything that was like mine, and didn't
yeah,
come from my parents or my family. So I got super into that, and my high school bands were like rock, like indie,
yeah,
like weird rock. and like I had at some point like my hair in my face, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, you're that's gotcha. I saw Taking Back Sunday and the Used at Slim's, in like 2002. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm right there with you.
What's interesting though is like I occasionally something will come on and I'll get very nostalgic about it. Like I mean, to this day, I still think the Postal Service is fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah, I'm going in October to see Postal Service with Death Cab doing 20th anniversary tour, here at
yeah,
the Greek Theater. So yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
Transatlanticism
yeah,
Cab album is so. I mean, like, it make. I did have like maybe formative like first kiss type stuff happening to that music, so maybe
yeah.
that's why it makes me so nostalgic. But I also think the songs are just really good.
They are,
You
they
know,
are.
like
Yeah.
and not all of that music stands up to the same scrutiny now. Like some of it I'll listen to and be like, ugh, that's kind of.
Yeah, well, how did I listen to that back then? Yeah. What's going on there? It's all a part of growing up and finding yourself and and finding this thing that you connect with, right?
Yeah,
So
and then some of the bands like I don't know, they grow also, and they keep
yeah.
changing. Like I just
Yes.
went and saw the Smile play like a
Okay.
month ago, the new Radiohead project. It's
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah, yeah. I heard. Yeah.
it's fucking
Hmm.
incredible. It was one of the best
Yeah.
shows I've ever seen. And
Oh,
I can't say I've like listened to Radiohead much in the past few years, but
yeah.
it was just so high level. Like Tom York and Johnny Greenwood are like they're just great musicians. They're doing it all with a three-piece band. It's just them and a drummer.
Wow.
So they're switching off between guitar, bass, keys, and they're just like so much improvisation. Like it's high level cool music.
Yeah.
And they're just continuing to grow. I don't know. I love that like right now the same band that was making relevant music 20 years ago is still making music that's like exciting to me, you know?
It's cool to grow up with those musicians too, and that's I'm a fan of Hendrik McMahon. I've followed him through his whole career and everything, and just always been there and interviewed him every couple of years, and just kept up that way. And it's cool to be able to have that connection to to music in a sense like that, So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
totally. You get to like I don't know. I that the Smile for instance had like it's the two of them and then this badass jazz drummer and I can't remember his name, but like definitely you can see their sensibilities changing with this project. Like they'll have these extended sections that are just kind of like they're basically improv, like free improv sections, and the
yeah.
music will just totally dissolve into madness and then have elements of like organization and then the song will happen. It's just like kind of you can hear their compositional minds. Like I don't know, it's just I see parallels where I'm like, oh, I'm into the same stuff. Like I can almost hear what they're listening to right now. You know?
Yeah. 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 You're on that journey. That's so cool. Yeah, and so kind of just having your own music, and I mean, 2011 was your first album, Photographs, right?
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I want to kind of build kind of a tie-in here with your latest album, Yesterday's News, because so I listened to Photographs, listened to the Yesterday's News, and then like I listened to the one before Yesterday's News. Was that Texas Piano Man? Or it
Yes.
might be mixed. Okay, like because your most recent album is more like Photographs than it is Texas Piano Man, right? Like it's like this kind of going back to basics, sort of really cut simple. Your every note kind of matters because you hear the chords on the it's just really just you and the guitar, right?
Yeah, there's an upright. The whole album is me, acoustic guitar, voice, and an upright player. Um,
Yeah,
so it's just the two of us basically. And we did it all in like 2 days live. All the vocals are like everything's live. Um, and in a large part, like there's you can kind of see we did it right here. And
yeah,
like I had a vocal mic, a guitar mic, and then as we started experimenting, we had mic'd up the bass, and like pretty quickly we're like, man, the bass just sounds good through these two large diaphragms, like, and we just turned the bass mic off. So like you're just kind of hearing the sound of the two of us in the room, and we just experimented with where he stood next to me, so there would be kind of a sonic image. But yeah, very simple in terms of recording. In terms of songwriting, I also feel like, I don't know, I'm just kind of, every record that I've done has been pretty different from the one before it. And part of that is just, you know, I feel like I put out photographs and I was on this label called New West. And like, as we've been talking about, my musical sensibility and like the stuff I like to listen to, it's not super like one thing. And
Yeah.
I felt like after photographs, I just had to do all these interviews where everyone was like, "So tell us about classic country music and George Jones." And like it was just all I fucking talked about and it just was so boring to me. So like
Yeah.
the record following that, it was very like, I was like, I want to do something different. It's almost like this teenage angst of like, I want to show people that I'm not just this, you know. And then that record comes out and then you have another feeling where you're like, I want to show people this other side. And like, I don't know, every record is kind of a graduation in some ways and a response to the one before it. um,
Yeah.
and Texas Piano Man was this really fun, just like over the top, like performance based record. You know, like, and I don't just mean like musical performance, but like there was like a character and a costume
Yeah.
and like the shows. Like I would get fucking a dozen roses every show and bring a grand piano, and it was like this big sort of like performance. And I just felt like this current record, the one that's coming out in May, was like kind of a response to all that. It was also timing because the world was so crazy pre-pandemic. Like
Yeah.
Texas Piano Man was very much like the way we all felt pre-pandemic. Like nobody could ever stop us, and we're just like, it was a big party, and like, I don't know, touring was crazy, and then the whole world stopped. And I also happened to have kids, you know, right around the same time, and my world got much slower. And this new record is kind of like, I don't know, a product of all that. Like, sort of like, what's the exact opposite of Texas Piano Man?
Yeah, it really feels like that, and I feel that with Texas Piano Man too, and your Topo Chico video, like
Yeah,
I mean, it's such a production. I mean, that's such a great video. I love it. Like, I mean, like, where did that come up?
it's hilarious. I mean, that was a. I really like songwriters like Randy Newman, um, Roger Miller, like songwriters that do everything sort of with a sense of humor, like a wink.
Yeah,
And I just got the idea one morning. I was just, well, one, I just like Topo Chico and I like drink it, you know, and then I got this idea, like I started humming this tune. I was like, oh, that'd be funny to write a jingle for a company that didn't ask for it. Like, you
yeah,
know, like
yeah,
a lot of fans and people have been like, "Oh, I hope you got some money from that." I'm like, "No, I'm an idiot. I thought it was funny to basically just write a theme song for a company that didn't." Because I was like, they need a jingle." Um,
yeah, yeah. No, no money delivered. No water delivered.
no, they did send me some water.
You got
Much
some water. Okay.
much later, they were very like, I think the CEO, they got bought by Coca-Cola, and I got an
Uh-huh.
email that like the CEO of Coca-Cola was driving in his car and heard Topo Chico on XM, and so I got an email that's like, hey, this guy's trying to get in touch with you. And so after they heard it, I think they were pretty excited, and they did help me make that music video. um,
Yeah.
I don't know how much they liked it. I think they had hoped it would be like cooler or something, but I really wanted the music video to read like a classic Coca-Cola commercial. But
Yeah. Yeah.
like, again, I just thought it was funny. I was like, I want this all to be like as if you guys hired me to make a jingle and a commercial, but like you didn't.
Yeah, or they're like, we're not gonna pay you for this. You did this on your own. We'll give you a case or two of water though. So you know, here you go.
But I don't know. To me, the whole thing is so meta and funny, and like there were also things about the brand. Like I think a lot about this stuff, and it's kind of stupid, but like I make mood boards and like really think about what a record is going to look and feel like. And with
Yeah,
Texas Piano Man, part of it was like, how do I just like create a character that represents Texas to me, but is not, you know, like the way people think of Texas is like, I don't know, like people, I when I travel all over the world. People are like, "Oh, do you have a horse?" You know, like I don't know. They have this very like rudimentary understanding of what modern Texas is. And then the flip side of that is if you say you're from Texas, people are like, "Oh, you guys are gun crazy and conservative." And part of Texas Piano Man for me was like, I want to make an image that looks like what I like about Texas.
Yeah.
And I want to create a new character that is like when people think about Texas, they can think about this thing that is like actually like cool and liberal and like about fun and music. And there were tent poles like there are these larger than life characters like Willie Nelson or somebody that I was like, I want it to feel like that, but I want to do it in my own way. And for me, the Topo Chico thing was kind of this cool parallel of like, okay, this is something that nobody maybe outside of Texas really knows about yet, but I think it represents a really cool counterculture here, like
Yeah.
of like our own bubble water.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was great. And it's a bummer to learn that you don't tour by horseback though. So,
Yeah.
so
I can't think of anything I'd like to do less. I hate touring in a fucking car.
it's
Like
already hours and hours of open board roads. Yeah, exactly. Just imagine having to do it by horseback.
no, no. I'd be like, oh, I'm in San Francisco tonight. I'll be in Napa in 3 days.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. No, it would take a while. But no, that's cool. I have talked to this musician that toured the country like he walked the country or something along those lines, and just stopped at the places along the way. And I'm like, yeah, that is intense,
Maybe when
Yeah.
I was like 21, that would have been an attractive idea.
Yeah, no, no, not at our point. No.
I don't know. Anymore, I'm like, I like this. I like being home.
Yeah.
I like being.
Here we got kids, we're not looking to be away for too long, right? So
No, I want to.
no.
You know what I'd like to do? People always talk about touring in this way, where they're like, "But you get to see so many cool places," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am
Yeah.
fortunate in that way." But what I want to do now is go on a vacation and actually
Yeah.
enjoy the places that I go to. Like, so much of this job is like, yeah, sure, I'm in Paris for one night, and I played a
Yeah.
show, had to do an interview, and then go to a hotel. Like, I didn't get to do any cool shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I know you have to just play a show and then go on to the next, right? So, but you get to see some cool things along the way, just don't get to spend time with it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I know. I've never left the country as an adult. And vacation for me, right, is next week. I'm going with my buddy and we're taking our families down in borrowing my ex-wife's van and taking them down to Super Nintendo World at Universal, So
Oh.
right, yeah, that's so cool. And I've never seen the Eiffel Tower. I've never been, like I've never done that. Those like I started too young with kids, and that I just never had those moments. And it's like spend thousands of dollars on a trip. I don't know.
You
I'd
should
rather.
you should absolutely do it though. And I mean like I want to fucking go to Nintendo World, but like there's I don't know. I would highly recommend. I haven't Weird. I took Buddy to Mexico, my oldest, and I take him sometimes if I have shows and stuff. Like I took him up to the Northeast recently, and
Mhm.
I took him to a festival out in West. I mean, he kind of goes everywhere with me, and he talks about these places. He's like, oh, I've been to Rhode Island. He's 4.5, and he'll
Yeah,
talk about these places, and like he'd be like, do you remember in Rhode Island when it was fall and the leaves were all orange? And I'm like, yeah, totally. And it's like,
yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I'm now kind of thinking. I'm gonna plug in my computer while we talk.
yeah. You're good.
I'm now kind of thinking that like I'm supposed to go to Australia in the fall,
It's awesome.
Europe again in the fall, go to the Netherlands and stuff. And I'm kind of like, oh, there's got to be a way that I could just bring Buddy and he could like, I don't know, come
Just
with me. And I just think I might actually enjoy it more seeing it through his eyes. You know?
yeah. Oh, that is so cool to be able to take your kid, to those places though. Australia is one of those places that, I is on the list of places that Ireland. I think it's the Green Hills because we don't get a lot of green here. It's it's rained a lot this winter here more than ever, so things are actually green and it's unusual, but we're not used to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it while he's young. While both I have two, so while they're both young, I feel like I can get away with it. But Buddy's gonna start. So he's in pre-K and he's about to start kindergarten. And when that happens, if I take him somewhere, he's gonna be truant.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
a hard thing, right?
I'm
Yeah.
trying to soak it up now, and I definitely don't want to like homeschool him or anything. I just don't think I have
No,
time or bandwidth to do it. But
no.
yeah, I'm trying. Like this summer, he's coming with me to a lot of places. That's the goal.
Yeah, homeschooling is not, I mean, as someone who had to deal with that through, distance learning, yeah, you didn't have to deal with that, but oh my God, yeah. Yeah, my daughter's 12 and my son is 9, and so I was distance learning was a mess, and having to juggle that and work and everything. It's not
Yeah.
good.
How do you get anything done?
And I couldn't. And I just started a new role at work and everything, and it's just like, oh my God, like in balancing the two, it did not work well. I'll tell you that. So, um, yeah, no, I do not wish homeschooling on on anyone, that's not made for it, right? So. But yeah, I want to ask you. So the song "Yesterday's News," like that's your wife's favorite song that you've ever written. So tell me about kind of that song, how it came about, what's so special about it for her.
I mean, it's one of my favorites I've written too. I don't know. Like sometimes lightning just kind of strikes, and that was one where like I sat down and wrote it, and I tend to be pretty hard on myself and like really fucking workshop shit, And that one I was
Hmm.
just like, this is great. I really like it, Like just kind of all came out. I mean, I'm a huge fan of like American songbook writing. Like I love Cole Porter and Hoagie Carmichael and like, Chet Baker singing those kind of songs is just about as good as it gets to me.
Yeah,
And that song I think I was listening to a lot of that music at the time, and it just kind of, I don't know. It's like pretty simple. There's a lot of lines in it that in other songs I might think of as like throwaway lines, but they're of the style in a way that I like this. I'm along for the whole ride. I think there's some humor in it. There's also like, I don't know. It's to me, it's like the whole thing kind of makes sense with where I'm at in my life. It's like it's all the narrative to me. It's like there's so much pressure every time you put out a record to like
yeah,
play the bigger room than you played the time before, and then to have more sales and to get more fans and get more Instagram followers and make more fucking videos, and like all this fucking shit is so like overwhelming, and like I think kind of the antithesis of the climate that you want to be creating art in. Like
hmm,
I don't think it's healthy. And just coming out and dealing really directly with this idea of like, I'm 35 years old, I've got 7 albums out. Like, why should anyone give a fuck about what I'm doing? Like to me, the song was just straight up like, yeah, it's like, I don't know. It made so much sense, and it was kind of liberating in a way to just reshape the narrative and just directly talk about aging as an artist and how it
yeah,
feels, you know? um,
yeah,
and yeah, I don't know. I really like the song too. And that's why I titled the record after it. Like, there's another song on the album. It's not out yet. It's the last track. It's called Better Tomorrow. And
yeah,
it's sort of a hopeful tune. It was either Yesterday's News or Better Tomorrow in my head. One of those was gonna be the title, and I chose Yesterday's News. Which I think it puts a little bit of a darkness around what is otherwise a pretty optimistic record. Like um, I'd say like over half the songs on the record have a pretty optimistic, hopeful message. But I also just don't. I don't know. I don't find Yesterday's News to be like I feel like there's a resignation that's really pleasant in the song. Like just kind of like dealing with the fact that I just want to make art and that none of the other shit matters. Like,
yeah,
and I'm kind of in on the joke. Like in the bridge, there's like this somewhere I hear him laughing, applause, applause, all for you. The same old joke. Who knows the ending? I do. You know, like I like the idea that like I'm in on this joke. You know, like
Yeah.
the whole thing is like fucking stacked against us, and the problem is playing the game. Like that's the problem. If you just make art and you just put it out, then you can be very happy doing that. It's this other shit, like this level of expectation, and not just in music, just in all of the shit that we do, like this illusion of progress, like that time goes in this linear upward direction, and that you have to constantly be getting better and getting more money and doing more shit. Like it's all fucking stupid. And
Yeah. Yeah. And the videos for both of the songs that you've put out, like, I mean, are both in black and white. You know, is this kind of like a retrospective kind of feel? Like, what is the artistic kind of meaning behind that? And
there's a documentary on Chet Baker that this guy's Bruce Weber did, called Let's Get Lost, and it was all shot film, black and white, and it's just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's such a fitting tribute to him, and I just really love the tone of the movie. And I really wanted to just kind of, I don't know, lean into that and like reference that a little bit. There's like a nostalgic quality to it, but it's also very timeless to me. Like it doesn't feel, I don't know. I don't want anything that we're doing on this to feel like throwback, you know.
yeah,
I think black and white is just really classic, and it also just makes you pay attention a lot more to the content of what's in
yeah,
it. You know, like
yeah,
when everything's flat, I think you focus a little more on the foreground. You know, like you don't see the whole thing. And yeah, I'm gonna just that's kind of the vibe right now. I'm just really into it. And the video for yesterday's news was really interesting. So me and my wife had shot a short film on the road. We like kind of wrote and scripted this short film that was going to be about, you know, life as a touring musician. And we used like over the course of 5 years of touring, we recorded all of our phone calls, just like this. Like anytime we'd hop on the phone, we'd press record, and then we shot all these different tours, and then we created this script just about being away from your partner and being on tour. Anyway, we made a short film, and neither of us were really that happy with it, and so we just didn't really put it out. It just didn't quite get there. I don't know what it was. But then we were talking about a music video for this song, and Erica's like, we have all this footage, I should go through it. And so the video is just like 6 years of footage from being on the road and being a musician. And she just made this really compelling, beautiful, there's like airplane, 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 venue, 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 airplane, airplane, like it just really
yeah.
captures like the exhaustive nature of the whole thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's got to be hard to cut down 6 years of touring down to 4.5 minutes, right? So
There's so much more footage,
yeah,
but and then that video, I was so happy with it. It's like one of my favorite videos I've ever made. And um, once it was done, it was like, God, this is so cool to have a little just like time capsule from that time in my life. And when we talked about this Close Your Eyes video, me and Erica were both thinking the same thing. Like, well, let's just like this video with the kids, let's just capture a moment and create a little, like, all this shit is for us.
yeah,
I do hope people like it, but I kind of was just like, okay, with this new video, we have an opportunity to just capture like the exact age that the kids are, and just like freeze a day, like, and have it just be there forever, that we can always look back this really high quality footage of us just having fun in the park and like,
yeah.
around the house. Like,
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I dig it, and we should put this interview in black and white too, by the way.
I
So
love it.
like, I've never done that before, but go for it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That's a great idea. It
Maybe I'll
should
do it.
be
Maybe.
it should be like in color until you just said that, and then it just switches.
Yes, yeah, like the open. I do an opening, and then I do music news at the end, and those parts will be in color, and then I bring you in. Just be in black and white, right? So
I love it.
yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I have to ask you about Paul Simon.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, yeah, uh-huh. And Nathaniel and that whole experience. Tell me how it came about. Tell me about the experience and what it was like for you as someone who's, I mean, such a big Paul Simon fan. What was that experience like?
Well, Nathaniel is a fucking saint, and I will forever be in his debt for having me on that thing.
Yeah,
But it was kind of interesting. So we were like, I don't know, we were buds and we talk pretty often. And he was like, "Hey, I'm doing this Paul Simon thing at Newport." Originally, it was pitched to me like we were going to just be covering a bunch of Paul Simon songs with different artists. And I
yeah,
was like, "Yeah, I'm down." Like, I didn't really know if I was going to go to Newport. And then I was on tour and I think I called Nathaniel. I was like, "Man, I don't think I can do it. It's just going to be too stressful." And then a couple things fell into place. I play with Deer Tick sometimes, and they asked me to play keys at one of the festival sets, and then this other after party thing came up that me and my friend Bo Bedford put together, and then it just kind of made sense. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, Newport sounds fun. I'll do it. I'll have 3 gigs. It'll be fun. So anyway, we get like I don't know a week before, 2 weeks before, and Nathaniel calls me and is like, "Hey, I actually think Paul Simon is gonna play with us." And immediately
oh, just by the way, yeah,
I started shit. And I think his manager Chris Tetzelli like moved mountains to make this thing happen, to get Paul there. And I just
yeah,
immediately got extremely nervous and like I don't know, practiced just like around the clock, just trying to make sure I knew every fucking little detail of these songs. And then yeah, we got there and like we rehearsed for a couple days. And then Paul showed up and rehearsed with us, and it was the most nerve-wracking, magical, beautiful thing I've ever experienced. Like I just so much of all this stuff is just like barrel down and get through it and play the music and like do a good job. And you don't really have time to think about it. You're just doing the job. But like
yeah,
at the actual set, like there's a moment where we've all gotten off stage and Paul goes back up and plays the sounds of silence by himself, and literally every person in the band was weeping. Like I'm getting
yeah,
emotional just thinking about it. But like I'm just literally trying to hold it together and not make any mistakes, and like not really understanding the magnitude of how important it is for me. And then stepping off and watching him play, like we were all just side stage hugging and crying and just like this is the fucking coolest thing that's ever happened.
yeah. What do you talk about? I mean, you got to rehearse with him. So what did you talk to him about? How do you approach your idol and be like, hey, I mean, obviously
I
he's
was
a lot of people.
I was just trying to not get fired. Honestly, I was just like try to be
Yeah,
of service and do something useful and don't get fired, like and it was I don't know, it's just so nerve-wracking. CJ Camerari who plays with him and has a really cool band. Gosh, what is CJ's band called? I'm gonna look it up real quick because his band is so awesome. Um, and of course, my internet's
oh,
not working. Carm,
uh,
Carm, Carm
oh,
is the
okay,
name of his band. He also plays with Paul Simon and his band. So CJ had told us before Paul came in, he's like, just FYI, if he comes in and he starts making changes and like telling people to stop playing and identifying problems, he was CJ was just like that's when Paul is at his happiest. That means he's having a really good time. So like
yeah,
that was kind of the vibe. He came in
yeah,
and immediately was just like, don't play that, don't play that, like don't sing that, what are you doing, you're playing electric, play acoustic. And like at some point he was like, "Are you comfortable in acoustic?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." And he got an acoustic, and then I thought I was gonna like play guitar, like I'm a guitar player. And he goes, "Do you have any money?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've got like a $5 bill." And he took a $5 bill out of my wallet and he put it in the strings. And he's like, "You're gonna be the percussion player. You're the snare drum player on this song." And so like for all of Graceland, which I had worked really hard on nailing the parts for and like knowing
yeah,
the guitar, I just played doom chaka doom chaka doom chaka doom.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was all nerve wracking, and then yeah, like 2, 3 rehearsals in, he calls a rehearsal the day of the show, and we all are like scrambling to get there across town, and we show up, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, I think we sound good. I don't think we need to really rehearse.
Okay.
And then he just starts telling stories about like recording Graceland, and like I don't know, all of us are. I don't. It just was the coolest shit ever.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool. And Nathaniel's great too. I've gotten to see him once. I saw him at the Fillmore actually.
Nice.
I have a
So good.
film I have a Fillmore poster of his staff show on my wall downstairs in my living room. So
He's fucking incredible. He's like
yeah,
just incredible songwriter, amazing performer, and like real music nut.
yeah,
And his whole band, everybody in his band is like the best guys and the best musicians.
yeah,
It's good vibe.
yeah. No, that's super cool. Yeah. So Eric said you might be able to play a song for the program. You up to playing a song? Maybe.
I'm down. It's very possible that I'll start and then somebody will um come in here because the session's about to start. So let me just
Sure.
see if I can get through something.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Door opening. I gave it a go and shot for the moon. The only way that I know, too little, too soon. Had my day in the sun, then gone like the dew. I'd only begun yesterday's news. I once held the world in the palm of my hand. Thought I'd found a pearl, but inside only sand. My best days are gone. I feel empty and used. Got nothing left to lose. Yesterday's news. Somewhere I hear 'em laughing. Applause, applause, all for you. The same old joke. Who knows the ending? I do. I do. When you left me behind, I had no place to go. But out of my mind, at least it's someplace I know. If there's ever a time when you feel in the mood, you'll know where to find yesterday's news. Now don't be surprised happens to you. We're all set up to lose yesterday's news.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Hi, Jimmy.
Hello. Jimmy's here. Jimmy's here.
My partner at the studio. This is Jimmy.
Jimmy, nice to meet you. I'm Steve. Yes.
He's
Well,
really good though. He walked in and he heard music and he was like, "Shh."
he knows when to be quiet, right? He's like, it's too beautiful. We gotta let him finish. well, this is brilliant. Well, perfect timing, Robert, and glad we could wind out there with a song. And thank you for taking the time. And I know you're excited for the album to come out May 19th. So, yeah, it's a beautiful album, and congratulations. And it's taking a lot of work to get there, and thanks for the chat. It's a fucking great time.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Thanks for making it work early in the morning.
Of course, of course. You've shifted around things, and it's perfect. It works out perfect. So yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and good luck with the Little Smokies. They are they're good times. I think I saw them. I think I interviewed them at Slim's. Maybe, I don't know.
Cool.
It was like 4 or 5 years ago, probably. So, but
awesome. I'll tell them you said hi.
Yeah, they probably won't remember me. It might have been the Independent. There's another venue for you. The Independent's about the size of Slim's too. So there's some options there.
Well, look out for me in the fall. I think it's probably going to be late summer, early fall, but I'm going to get back out soon.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you live and chat some more at the show. So
would love that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, that was my interview with Robert Ellis here at Concert Pipeline, and that takes us to the final segment on the program, the music news. All right, I have a couple stories to wind out the program today. First up is we enter another April 1st, April Fool's Day. So Usher thought it would be funny to play a cruel joke at Dreamville Fest with a little prank that he did. So he had a headline set. He told fans that Beyonce would join him on stage. And then he said, I said I would have a special surprise for you tonight. Should I tell you what that surprise is? Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, put your hands together for the one, the only Beyonce. Usher announced as the crowd screamed in approval. He then did some of his best acting since Light It Up, as he spent the next minute sauntering around and trying to cajole some unseen person onto the stage as the crowd's anticipation continued to build. Finally, Usher returned to the microphone and spoke those dreaded 2 words, April Fools. I will say I was not without, creating an April Fool's joke myself on my kids, which, the jury's out as to whether it was a good joke or not. I stand behind it, whether I should or shouldn't. My son, I was out running the dog, and while he was biking, and he's like, "Dad, it's April 1st. You should play a joke on me or something." I don't know. He just doesn't really get how the April Fool stuff works. But I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And then I made some silly jokes. But then a little bit later, I'm sitting on the couch with my son, and then my daughter comes in through the garage, and she, I call her over. I tell our kids, I'm like, look, I have some news to break to you. I just got a text from our buddy Joe, and he said that the family's too sick. They're not going to be able to come to Universal, and not going to be able to go to Mario Land. And he's calling now. He actually was calling. He at the perfect moment. He calls me. We talk a lot, but he happened to be calling at that perfect moment, and they could see him calling on the screen. And then so I answer. I'm like, hey, buddy. I just told the kids about how you and the family can't come to Super Nintendo World. You're just too sick, right? And you want to tell him yourself, or I think he said he'd tell him. So I put him on speaker, and then he told them, he went along with it and told them that they weren't going to be able to go. And my daughter's sitting on the stairwell, and I look at her, and she knows my lying face really well. She can tell I'm not a great liar. So I have my back turned to her for most of this, and I'm looking at my son and trying not to break up laughing. Uh, you know, and uh, and Joe's just keeping the lie up, which is great. And then my daughter, runs upstairs and starts a FaceTime call and calls her best friend and is like, "Hey, we have extra tickets now to Super Nintendo World. You should come." And then she's like texting me, "Dad, can my friend come? Can my friend come?" Sort of thing. And I'm not addressing it right then. I'm still on the phone with Joe and talking to my son, and I'm like, we'll talk about it a little bit later. And so she, on her own, invited her best friend, and then so she comes down. I'm like, "Well, we can't bring your friend because the tickets are under, Joe and his family's name, so we can't do it." And she's like, "Can't they put her name on it? Can't they put my best friend?" And I'm like, "No, you're gonna have to break it to your friend that were the victim of an April Fool's prank." And she wasn't stoked. She wasn't stoked. She went outside and she was a little emotional. And I sat down with her a few minutes later, and I'm like, "Look, you okay?" Because I'm like, "I didn't mean to hurt you, but I have to tell you, it was a good joke. You on your own invited your friend without even asking us. Which the tickets aren't even mine, and the extra tickets aren't even mine. They're my friends. So we both have some kind of opportunity here." And I was like, "Let's move on. We're okay, right?" It took a little bit to get past it for her, I think, but I stand behind the joke. If you agree, just shoot me a message on the socials. It'd be great to hear what others think of that joke, because I think it was great. I think it worked out. Nobody was hurt in the making of that joke, so I'm just going to leave that at that. Okay, so that was Usher's joke. Next up, Ace Frehley threatens to release dirt on Kiss if Paul Stanley doesn't apologize for piss remark. Their careers will be ruined. And so I guess Paul Stanley had recent comments regarding the reunion of the band's original lineup. The group was formed by Stanley, Gene Simmons, Frehley, and drummer Peter Criss in 1973. However, the latter two members left Kiss in the 80s, although both have performed with the band since. During a recent interview, Stanley was asked why the band had not performed at their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 2014, and if it was because their singer were not included in the inductions. We had too much pride in this lineup, which is Kiss and has been Kiss for 20 years, he explained. It's not newcomers. This is the band that has carried the flag and taken it really to another level. This is the band I always dreamed it would be. Stanley went on to say that the Rock Hall had been demanding and wanted Kiss to perform with Frehley and Criss. At this point, that would be demeaning to the band and also would give some people confusion. You can bring them all up on stage. Have everybody on stage. Come on. You can do that sort of thing. You're Kiss. You're not like, you're just, you dress up in makeup and costumes and everything. Come on, just get with it. And at the when you're inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's everybody who, helped make that band happen, right? Like, let's go. Let's see here. Paul, if you're not listening, I'm sure one of your associates in the KISS group are, he said, and I'm telling you that I want my formal apology for what you said and a retraction and an apology within 7 days. And if I don't get it within 7 days, I'm coming back on Ed Trunk's show and I'm going to tell some dirt that nobody knows about Paul and Gene that I've always kept to myself, because I'm the kind of guy who doesn't like to talk about this. I like to talk about the positive stuff. When it comes to negativity, and we've all done things that we regret over the years, it's there. I have a 120-page manuscript that I wrote after I finished my book. My attorney has it in a safety deposit box. God forbid anything happens to me. My attorney is instructed to release it, so they can't be intimidated by me trying to hurt me or say, "You better not say anything about me live on the radio," because then they're totally screwed. Their careers will be ruined. So We'll see where that goes. Good times, good times. And of course, Kiss has announced their final ever run of live shows, supposedly. The end of the road farewell tour will head to the UK in June for a couple of days before wrapping up in North America. So good luck to them. All right. Let's see here. Billie Eilish did something that was pretty cool. She played an acoustic set for fans after the show was canceled due to bad weather. She had a gig in Mexico City, and so she played a short acoustic set. She should play the whole set acoustic. Just saying. Be creative and really get out there, put yourself outside your comfort zone, right? But good on her for doing something. After fans were alerted to the last minute cancellation, Eilish and her brother Phineas came out on stage to perform 6 tracks acoustically. Let me see, that was truly really special for me. I love you so much, she told fans who stayed to watch the impromptu show. And I mean, it looked like everybody was there and she did it on the stage. So I don't understand what the issue was with being able to play fully. But that's pretty cool. Okay. And 2 more stories before we wrap. Ozzy Osbourne, AC/DC, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, and Tool are set to play the first Power Trip Festival. Its gig is going to be Osbourne's first since he retired from touring, and could signal Brian Johnson's return to AC/DC. Which Brian Johnson has had hearing issues, and it's getting worse and can be expedited by playing live shows. So seeing Ozzy on stage, seeing Brian Johnson on stage, will be amazing for some fans if those things happen, right? Yeah. I mean, Brian Johnson was replaced by Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses, originally. So I guess we'll see what happens there. And if Guns N' Roses are there, maybe Axl will be there. Maybe Brian Johnson will just come out for a song or 2. Who knows? But that would be pretty cool. And then we'll wind out with a funny story. Owen Wilson was gifted an all-access tour pass by the Rolling Stones, but he had it revoked after 1 show. I get it. He has a show to do. He doesn't need some bozo just cruising around distracting him, he said. So he opened up about the time he made friends with the Rolling Stones, being gifted an all-access backstage pass that would remain valid indefinitely, only to have it taken off him after 1 show. He's a lifelong fan of the band, of course, who performed the first ever concert he attended in 1980. So he did a new interview with James Corden and Jeff Goldblum on the Late Late Show. He explained that he was rather chuffed to be honored their attention. I went to see the Rolling Stones in Argentina, and I was kind of friendly with some of the band. And my friend was really good friends with Mick Jagger, and we got these special laminates, kind of all access, that were good the rest of your life. And then he said he was eager to test just how all access they truly were, thinking to himself, I'm going to walk over here and see if anybody stops me. He noted that no one would stop him in any place he ventured off to, and eventually he ended up right in this place where he could look over and see Mick Jagger on the stage right there. He said, then all of a sudden he bolts during Jump and Jack Flash and comes running down, and it turns out where I was part of the stage a little bit. So I just sort of froze and tried to be inconspicuous. And then someone came running over screaming, get out of here, move, you're not supposed to be here. I go to bed that night still thinking, oh my gosh, that was kind of a gnarly experience. And then I get a call the next morning from Mick's security team. Do you have that laminate? Yes, I still have it. Okay, we're going to come over and pick it up. So apparently he lost his pass after he was somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. So funny stories. Okay, that is our show for today. Thank you, Robert Ellis, for being on the program. Next week on the program, we have 40 Feet Tall. We've had them on the program early in COVID, I think it was when I interviewed them. So we'll talk about that a little bit in the interview. And also the week after, we will have Mark Broussard on the program. I had a chance to interview him, I believe, last year or late 2011, or sorry, not 2011, 2020 as well. So, a couple guys, a couple interviews to catch up with, folks. It'll be fun. It'll be good times. Thank you for tuning in. And for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.